My name is Campbell, and at 35 years old, I never thought I would be the one to cause a family meltdown. Working as a software developer in Seattle keeps me busy, but family has always come first. At least, that was what I believed until my sister Amanda crossed the line with her twins. For years, every family gathering turned me into the default babysitter, but our beach vacation was supposed to be different. I finally stood up for myself, and it sparked a war that changed everything. Before I dive into what happened at that airport, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. If your family has ever taken advantage of your kindness, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you will want to hear how this ends. My life before the vacation drama was pretty straightforward. I worked 60+ hours a week as a senior software developer at a tech company in downtown Seattle. The job paid well, but it demanded most of my time and energy. I lived in a modest 2-bedroom apartment that I had carefully decorated to be my sanctuary from the stresses of work. Nothing fancy, just comfortable and mine. A place where I could decompress, code on personal projects, or just enjoy the rare, quiet weekend. My family never really understood my career or lifestyle. They saw the decent salary, but not the late nights debugging code or the constant pressure of deadlines. To them, I was just Campbell, the successful son who could always be counted on to help out. And by help out, I mean watch my sister Amanda's twins whenever she needed a break. Amanda, 32, had mastered the art of manipulation long before she had children. Growing up, she always found ways to get what she wanted. Her room was too small. She got mine. She wanted to use the car. My plans were suddenly less important. This pattern continued into adulthood. But having twins 7 years ago gave her entirely new leverage for getting her way. Jacob and Sophia were energetic, bright kids. I genuinely loved them and enjoyed being their uncle when it was on my terms. The problem was, it rarely was. Amanda had a talent for turning every family gathering into a childcare opportunity for herself. She would arrive with the twins, spend maybe 20 minutes getting them settled, and then suddenly remember an errand she needed to run. Or she would slip away for a phone call that mysteriously took 2 hours. Or she would simply announce she needed some adult time and disappear to chat with other relatives, leaving me with 2 energetic children. Our parents, Richard and Eleanor, enabled this behavior at every turn. When I would try to address it, they would say things like, "Your sister has it so hard as a single mother." Or, "It takes a village, Campbell." Or my personal favorite, "They are only little once. You should enjoy this time with them." Never mind that Amanda received substantial child support and lived in a house our parents helped pay for, while I was still paying off student loans from the computer science degree that funded my current lifestyle. The financial imbalance in how our family supported us was striking. When I put myself through college, I worked 2 part-time jobs and took out loans. When Amanda decided to try community college, our parents paid her tuition and gave her a monthly allowance. When I bought my car, I saved for the down payment for a year. When Amanda needed a new SUV for the twins, our parents co-signed and helped with the payments. The pattern was clear and long-standing, but I had mostly made peace with it. What I could not make peace with was how this dynamic extended to my time and freedom. Last Thanksgiving provided a perfect example of how these situations typically played out. I drove 3 hours to my parents' home, bringing homemade cranberry sauce and a pumpkin pie I had baked from scratch. Within 30 minutes of arriving, Amanda had asked me to take the twins to the park to burn off energy before dinner. That turned into watching them all afternoon, while she and my mother prepared the meal. I was not even allowed in the kitchen to help cook because the kids need supervision. By the time dinner was served, I had spent 0 time relaxing and had not even had a chance to shower and change after my drive. Christmas was worse. I spent most of Christmas Eve assembling toys, and most of Christmas Day mediating disputes over those same toys. New Year's Eve, I rang in the new year watching Frozen for the 12th time, while Amanda went to a party with friends. My birthday in March, Amanda brought the twins to my celebration dinner because they wanted to see Uncle Campbell on his special day. which meant I spent my birthday cutting chicken nuggets into small pieces and wiping spilled chocolate milk. Each time, I tried to establish boundaries. Each time, I was made to feel selfish for wanting any personal time or space. Each time, I gave in to keep the peace. And each time, my resentment grew a little more. Our extended family noticed the pattern but mostly stayed out of it. My Aunt Patricia once pulled me aside at a family reunion and said, "You know you were allowed to say no to your sister, right?" But by then, the dynamic was so established that saying no felt impossible. The few times I tried, the fallout was so dramatic, with Amanda in tears, my parents disappointed, and the twins confused, that it seemed easier to just accept my role. The most frustrating part was that Amanda was perfectly capable of being a good mother when she wanted to be. She just preferred when someone else did the hard work. The twins were well behaved for their age when given proper attention and boundaries, but Amanda rarely enforced rules consistently, swinging between being too permissive and then frustrated when they misbehaved. I found myself in the uncomfortable position of being more of a disciplinarian than their own mother, yet without any actual authority. This was the complex family ecosystem I was navigating when the vacation plan was announced. Years of built-up resentment, unaddressed boundary violations, and a deeply ingrained family expectation that I would always be available to pick up Amanda's slack. I had no idea at the time, but this vacation would become the breaking point where something had to give. And that something, it turned out, would be me. It was an ordinary Tuesday evening in April when my phone lit up with a notification from our family group chat. I was in the middle of a coding sprint at work, trying to fix a critical bug before a morning deadline, but I took a quick break to check the message. It was from my mother, announcing excitedly that she and my father had booked a family vacation at a luxury beach resort in Florida for the last week of June. "We have reserved 3 rooms at the Oceanic Paradise Resort in Clearwater Beach," she wrote. "One for us, one for Amanda and the twins, and one for Campbell. All expenses paid. This is going to be the family vacation we have all been dreaming about." Before I could even respond, Amanda chimed in with a string of beach and sun emojis. "This is going to be amazing. The twins are going to love the kids' club and water activities. Campbell. They cannot wait to build sandcastles with their favorite uncle." I stared at my phone, immediately recognizing the subtle hint in her message. Kids' club and water activities sounded great, but I could read between the lines. Those activities would require adult supervision. And guess who would be the designated adult while Amanda enjoyed some me time at the resort spa? I waited until I got home that night to respond, carefully crafting an excuse. "This sounds wonderful, but June is our product launch month. I am not sure I can get away for a full week with all the deadlines we have coming up." The response was immediate and multi-layered. My father. "Family is more important than work, son. You can surely take a week off." My mother. "We specifically chose these dates because you mentioned your big project would be done by mid-June." Amanda. Going straight for the emotional jugular. "The twins will be so disappointed. They have been talking about swimming in the ocean with Uncle Campbell ever since I mentioned the possibility. I had not even agreed to go, and somehow I was already letting down 2 7-year-olds. The pressure continued over the next few days. My mother called to remind me of family beach trips from my childhood. How we had not all vacationed together in years. How important it was to create memories with the twins while they were young. My father texted about how hard they had worked to save for this trip, mentioning the cost of my portion, which was apparently over $2,000. "We want to do this for all of you," he wrote. "Your mother and I are not getting any younger. Who knows how many more chances we will have for trips like this." The guilt tactics were familiar but effective. After a week of steady pressure, I finally agreed. But with one explicit condition. "I would love to join you all," I texted the group. "But I need to be clear about something. I am coming to enjoy the vacation too. Not to be the default childcare. I love spending time with Jacob and Sophia, but I also need adult time to relax." Amanda's response was immediate but vague. "Of course, we all deserve to enjoy this vacation. The resort has so many activities for the kids anyway." I should have pressed for more specifics. But I was relieved. The conversation had moved on. Over the next few weeks, the family group chat filled with vacation planning details. My mother organized a series of planning calls. And during one of them, she mentioned the sleeping arrangements. Amanda and the twins will have the larger room with 2 queen beds, she explained. Dad and I will have the ocean view room. And Campbell, you will have the garden view room. But we were thinking, to save money, maybe the twins could stay with you some nights? That way, Amanda could have a bit of space. Before I could object, Amanda jumped in. That would be so helpful. Just for a night or two. They love sleepovers with their uncle. I reluctantly agreed, not wanting to create conflict, but my anxiety about the trip grew. 2 weeks before the vacation, Amanda asked me to watch the twins while she went shopping for vacation clothes. I ended up spending 4 hours at the mall, chasing Jacob and Sophia through department stores while Amanda tried on sundresses and swimsuits. While waiting outside a fitting room, I overheard Amanda on the phone with a friend. The resort has this amazing kids program, but Sophia gets anxious with strangers. So Campbell will probably take them swimming most days. I am planning to get a massage and spend some quality time at the adults-only pool. I haven't had a real break in forever. My stomach tightened. This was exactly what I had feared. Despite my clearly stated boundary, Amanda was already planning to use me as her personal babysitter for the week. Later that day, as I was buying the twins' ice cream cones, I heard Amanda telling them, Uncle Campbell will take you swimming in the ocean every single day of our vacation, and he might even take you to the water park while Mommy rests. Jacob looked up at me with excitement. You promised, Uncle Campbell? Every day? I had promised no such thing, but I could not bring myself to disappoint him in that moment. I smiled weakly and said, We will see, buddy. There will be lots of fun things to do. As the vacation drew closer, my anxiety increased. I started having trouble sleeping, thinking about a week of being at Amanda's beck and call, with my parents enabling and even encouraging the behavior. I seriously considered backing out, but the thought of the financial loss to my parents and the disappointment of the twins kept me from taking that step. Instead, I tried to prepare myself mentally. I packed books I would probably never get to read, downloaded meditation apps I would likely never get to use, and told myself that it was just 1 week out of my life. I could handle it for the sake of family harmony. The night before our departure, I lay awake staring at my ceiling, rehearsing how I would enforce boundaries with Amanda. I would be kind, but firm. I would agree to specific times to watch the twins, but make it clear that I also needed time for myself. I would not let guilt or manipulation sway me. Looking back now, I realize how naive those plans were. The established family dynamic was far too powerful to be changed by a few polite conversations. But at the time, I genuinely believed I could make this vacation work for everyone, including myself. If only I had known what the next day would bring. My alarm blared at 4:30 in the morning, though I had barely slept. Our flight was scheduled for 8:45, and my parents had insisted we arrive at the airport by 6 to allow plenty of time for check-in and security. I had packed and repacked my suitcase 3 times the night before, still half considering texting the family that I had come down with a sudden stomach bug and could not make it, but I did not. Instead, I showered, dressed, and waited for my parents' SUV to pull up outside my apartment building. They were supposed to arrive at 5:30, but it was nearly 6:15 when they finally appeared. Amanda sat in the front passenger seat, scrolling through her phone, while my parents looked stressed. Sorry we are late, my mother said as I loaded my suitcase into the trunk. Amanda had some last-minute packing to do, and the twins were cranky about waking up so early. Jacob and Sophia were strapped into their booster seats, still in their pajamas, looking groggy and irritable. Amanda did not even look up from her phone as I climbed into the back seat beside the twins. Campbell, can you keep an eye on the kids? I need to make sure I have all our documents, Amanda said, still not making eye contact. She proceeded to dump the contents of her purse onto her lap, searching frantically for their passports. Did you check your suitcase? My father asked, clearly stressed about the time. I am looking, okay? Everyone just give me a minute. Amanda snapped. I gave Jacob and Sophia each a granola bar from my backpack and asked them about what they were most excited to do at the beach. This momentarily distracted them, but as we hit morning traffic, their energy returned and they began bickering over a tablet they were sharing. "Campbell, can you handle that? I am trying to organize our documents," Amanda said, still rummaging through her bags. By the time we reached the airport parking garage, we were running seriously behind schedule. My father dropped us at the terminal entrance with all the luggage while he parked the car. Amanda immediately handed me her carry-on bag and the twins' backpacks. "I need to run to the restroom," she announced. "Can you start checking us in?" My ID is in the front pocket of my purse. Before I could respond, she had disappeared into the crowd, leaving me with 2 tired children and 5 pieces of luggage. My mother took charge of the check-in process while I kept the twins entertained, but Amanda did not return for nearly 20 minutes. When she finally reappeared, she was carrying a tray with coffee for herself and my parents, but nothing for me or the kids. "The line was so long," she explained, not bothering to apologize for her absence. Check-in took longer than expected because Amanda had packed overweight bags and needed to shuffle items around. Throughout the process, I found myself automatically taking care of the twins, helping them use the bathroom, making sure they had snacks, and keeping them from running off in the busy terminal. As we headed toward security, my mother suggested I take the twins ahead while they finished checking the remaining bags. Amanda readily agreed, handing me their boarding passes. "Great idea. I need to grab a coffee anyway." "The one I got is already cold." "But you just got coffee," I pointed out. She rolled her eyes. "And now, I need another one." "We will meet you at the gate." I spent the next 45 minutes navigating security with 2 energetic children, helping them remove their shoes, explaining why their water bottles had to be emptied, and preventing Jacob from sending his beloved stuffed dinosaur through the X-ray machine alone. By the time we made it through, I was already exhausted, and our vacation had barely begun. I found a seat near our gate where I could watch for the others while keeping the twins occupied with a game on my tablet. When Amanda finally appeared, she was sipping a large coffee and carrying a shopping bag from one of the terminal's boutiques. "Sorry that took so long," she said casually. "I ran into an old friend from college, and we got to chatting. Then I saw this adorable cover-up on sale. Where are Mom and Dad? Still coming through security, I guess?" I replied, trying to keep the frustration out of my voice. Amanda nodded absently and then stepped away to take a phone call. I could only hear snippets of her conversation, but what I heard made my heart sink. "Yes, we just got to the gate. Florida for a week. The resort has a spa package. I know. I cannot wait. Campbell is coming too, so I will have plenty of help with the kids. We are planning to get massages while he takes them to the beach." The casual way she discussed her plans to use me as a childcare provider, without ever having discussed it with me, made my blood boil. But before I could confront her, my parents arrived, and the conversation shifted to finding breakfast before our flight. We headed to an overpriced airport restaurant, where the twins immediately began complaining about the menu options. Jacob knocked over his orange juice. Sophia refused to eat anything but plain toast, and I found myself automatically cleaning up messes and negotiating with them to eat, while the adults discussed their excitement about the beach and pool. "The resort has this amazing adults-only infinity pool overlooking the ocean," my mother was saying. "We should definitely spend an afternoon there." "That sounds perfect," Amanda agreed enthusiastically. "Campbell can take the kids to the water park that day." I nearly choked on my coffee. "Excuse me? When did we decide that?" Amanda looked at me with genuine confusion. "I just thought you would want to take them. They have been so excited about it." "That is not the point," I started to say, but Jacob interrupted. "You promised, Uncle Campbell. You said you would take us to the water park." I had said no such thing, but contradicting him would only upset him. I shot Amanda a look, which she pointedly ignored. My father, sensing tension, changed the subject to our seating arrangements on the plane. And that was when I discovered the final straw. "So we have got 2 seats in row 12 and 3 seats in row 27, he explained. "Your mother and I thought we would take the 2 seats together. And Amanda, you can have the aisle seat in the back row. Campbell, You will have the middle and window with the twins. I stared at him in disbelief. A 5-hour flight with 2 energetic 7-year-olds while their mother sat 20 rows ahead of us? Without even consulting me? That does not work for me, I said firmly. Amanda should sit with her children, but they want to sit with you, Amanda replied quickly. And you know how badly I get airsick. I need the aisle seat. I have never heard you mention air sickness before, I said. It is a recent development, she snapped. My mother jumped in. Campbell, please do not make a scene. The flight is full, and we cannot change the seats now. As they continued discussing the logistics of boarding, I felt something shift inside me. Years of similar treatment flashed through my mind. The constant expectation that I would sacrifice my time, comfort, and needs for Amanda's convenience. The pattern would never change because they did not want it to change. This vacation would be 5 straight days of being the twins' caretaker while everyone else relaxed. In that moment, staring at my half-eaten breakfast while Amanda discussed the resort spa treatments she planned to enjoy, I made a decision that would change everything. While my family finished their breakfast, I quietly assessed my options. The reality of the situation had become crystal clear. This vacation would be no vacation for me. I would spend every moment catering to the twins, while Amanda enjoyed a child-free holiday at my expense. The seating arrangement on the plane was not a logistical oversight. It was a preview of the entire week to come. I excused myself to use the restroom, taking my backpack with me. In the privacy of the stall, I allowed myself a moment to consider what I was about to do. Part of me felt childish, petty even. Another part screamed that this was about self-respect, about finally standing up for myself after years of being taken advantage of. My heart raced as I weighed my options. If I confronted them directly, it would cause a scene. Amanda would cry or get angry. My parents would be disappointed, and I would either cave to keep the peace or hold my ground and make everyone miserable. Neither option seemed right. Instead, I washed my hands, took a deep breath, and walked out of the restroom with a plan forming. Back at the table, my family had moved on to discussing the dolphin watching tour they wanted to take. My mother was showing the twins pictures on her phone. Look at how close you can get to them. Campbell can take underwater photos of you while we watch from the boat. I nodded absently, noticing that the duty-free shops near our gate were getting busier. Perfect. Hey, why do not we check out the shops before boarding? I suggested. I wanted to pick up some reading material for the flight. My mother looked pleased by my apparent enthusiasm. Good idea. I wanted to look at those Florida souvenir shirts for the twins anyway. We paid the bill and headed toward the shops. I deliberately lagged behind, watching as Amanda guided the twins toward a display of stuffed dolphins, my parents following close behind. I needed to be certain the children were securely with their mother before I made my move. I stood at the entrance of the store, observing as Jacob picked up a toy and showed it to Amanda. She was fully engaged with the children now, helping Sophia try on a sun hat. My parents were examining a rack of tropical shirts nearby. Everyone was distracted, and, most importantly, the twins were safely with their mother. This was my chance. I stepped backward, then turned and walked quickly in the opposite direction, toward the terminal exits. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure everyone could hear it, but no one called after me. No one noticed as I walked faster, weaving through the morning crowd of travelers. I pulled out my phone and sent a quick text to the family group chat. I cannot do this. Heading home. Have a good trip. Then I switched my phone to airplane mode before the responses could come in. They would be angry, but at least they would know I had left deliberately and was not missing. Finding the exit was easy. Finding a rideshare at the busy drop-off area took longer, but within 15 minutes I was sitting in the back seat of a car headed away from the airport, away from a week of servitude disguised as vacation. Change of plans? The driver asked conversationally, noting my single backpack and tense expression. You could say that, I replied, not wanting to elaborate, but something about his friendly, neutral presence broke through my guard. Maybe it was the adrenaline crash, or maybe it was simply the relief of escaping. But I found myself explaining the situation. My family was about to use me as free childcare for a week without my consent, I concluded. so I walked away. The driver, an older man named Bill, nodded thoughtfully in the rearview mirror. Family can take advantage because they know you will not walk away. Until you do. Then, suddenly, they have to reassess. His simple validation nearly brought tears to my eyes. For so long, I had been told that my feelings were selfish, that family obligation trumped personal boundaries. Hearing a stranger immediately understand felt surprisingly powerful. The drive back to my apartment took nearly an hour with morning traffic. I kept my phone on airplane mode the entire time, not ready to face the inevitable fallout. Bill and I chatted about his own family dynamics, his daughter, who had moved across the country to escape a controlling mother, how they eventually rebuilt their relationship on healthier terms. Sometimes you have to break something completely before you can fix it right, he said as we pulled up to my building. The simple wisdom of his words stayed with me. As I thanked him and added a generous tip, my apartment felt different when I walked in. What had been a space I often resented for its emptiness now felt like a sanctuary. No demands, no guilt, no responsibilities, except to myself. I dropped my backpack on the couch and stood in the quiet living room, breathing deeply. The magnitude of what I had done began to sink in. I had walked away from a family vacation at the last minute. I had left my sister with her children, which was exactly where they should be, but which she would frame as abandonment. I had disappointed my parents after they had spent thousands on this trip. I had potentially damaged family relationships beyond repair. Yet alongside the guilt and anxiety was another feeling, one I had not experienced in relation to my family for a long time. Relief. Overwhelming, powerful relief. I made myself a proper breakfast, something I had not had time for in the rush to the airport, and ate it slowly at my kitchen table. I took a long shower. I changed into comfortable clothes. Each simple action felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. By noon, I knew I needed to face reality. I took my phone off airplane mode, prepared for the barrage of notifications. Surprisingly, there were only 2 text messages, both from my mother. Campbell, where are you? The plane is boarding soon. And 20 minutes later, are you serious right now? Please tell me this is a joke. That was it. No frantic calls, no angry texts from Amanda. I realized they were probably already on the plane, forced to board without me. They would not see my message until they landed in Florida. The delay gave me precious time to prepare mentally for what was coming. I ordered takeout from my favorite Thai restaurant, something I rarely allowed myself. I queued up a movie I had been wanting to watch. I created a cocoon of comfort, knowing that the storm would hit once their plane landed. As evening approached, I felt a complex mix of emotions. Guilt still lingered, particularly about disappointing my parents financially. But beneath that was a growing certainty that I had made the right choice. For perhaps the first time in my adult life, I had prioritized my own well-being over Amanda's convenience. I went to bed early, knowing tomorrow would bring the full force of my family's reaction. As I drifted off to sleep, I remembered Bill's words. Sometimes you have to break something completely before you can fix it right. I had certainly broken something today. Whether it could be fixed remained to be seen. The first thing I noticed when I woke up the next morning was the sound, a persistent buzzing from my phone on the nightstand. It vibrated so continuously that it had inched its way to the edge, threatening to fall off. When I picked it up, the screen was a solid wall of notifications. 147 text messages, 38 missed calls, 23 voicemails, numerous email alerts and social media notifications. The family plane had definitely landed in Florida. I sat up in bed, feeling a strange calmness. Despite the digital evidence of chaos, I had expected this. I was prepared for it. Or so I thought. Until I actually began scrolling through the messages. The texts told a story of emotional escalation, starting with confusion. Mom, 6:45 p.m. We just landed and got your message. What do you mean you went home? Dad, 6:47 p.m. Son, call us immediately. We are worried about you. Amanda, 6:50 p.m. Is this some kind of joke? The kids keep asking where you are. These initial messages seemed concerned, almost reasonable. But the tone shifted quickly. Mom, 7:05 p.m. Campbell, this is completely unacceptable behavior. Call us right now. Dad, 7:12 p.m. Your mother is very upset. I have never seen her like this. You need to explain yourself. Amanda, 7:20 p.m. I cannot believe you would do this to the twins. They are crying because Uncle Campbell abandoned them. Is that what you wanted? By the 1-hour mark, concern had given way to full-blown anger. Amanda, 7:45 p.m. You ruined everything. Do you have any idea how difficult it is to manage 2 disappointed children by myself? This was supposed to be my vacation too. The irony of that last message was not lost on me. This was exactly the point, was not it? It was supposed to be her vacation too, not just hers at my expense. The messages continued to pour in as they checked into the resort. Mom, 8:30 p.m. The resort staff is asking where the 5th person in our party is. Do you know how embarrassing this is? Dad, 8:42 p.m. We paid for your room, Campbell. That is $2,000 wasted because of your selfishness. Amanda, 9:15 p.m. The twins cannot stop crying. They think you do not love them anymore. I hope you are happy with yourself. And then the extended family got involved. Apparently, news of my airport escape had spread quickly. Aunt Karen, 9:30 p.m. Your mother called me in tears. How could you do this to your family? Uncle Steveny, 5:04 p.m. Not cool, nephew. Not cool at all. Cousin Jennifer, 10:05 p.m. Amanda posted about what happened. Everyone is talking about it. What were you thinking? I navigated to Facebook and found Amanda's post, complete with a photo of the twins looking sad in their airport clothes, clutching their stuffed animals. The caption read, "Family vacation off to a heartbreaking start when someone decided his own selfish needs were more important than his niece and nephew's happiness." Some people have no concept of family loyalty. The post had dozens of sympathetic comments, many criticizing me by name. Amanda had always been skilled at controlling the narrative, and she was in rare form now. I closed Facebook and moved on to the voicemails. My mother's voice was tight, with controlled anger. Campbell Allen Roberts. This is beyond disappointing. Call me back immediately. My father sounded more sad than angry. Son, I do not understand what happened. We could have talked about whatever was bothering you. Please, call us. Amanda's voicemail was theatrical sobbing, barely comprehensible, except for phrases like "how could you" and "the twins are devastated." I sat with my phone in my lap, taking it all in. The guilt trips, the manipulation, the public shaming, the rallying of extended family against me, all because I had refused to be Amanda's unpaid childcare provider for a week. The response was so disproportionate, so obviously designed to force me back into compliance, that it had the opposite effect. Instead of making me question my decision, it validated it completely. Still, seeing the messages about the twins did hurt. I loved those kids, and I hated the thought of them being upset. I considered calling my parents just to explain, but when I checked social media again, I saw that Amanda had posted a series of beach photos. The twins were building sandcastles, looking perfectly happy. The caption read, "Trying to salvage this vacation despite the unexpected abandonment. A mother's work is never done." The timestamps showed these pictures were taken barely 2 hours after her "the twins cannot stop crying" text. Either they had recovered remarkably quickly, or Amanda had exaggerated their distress to maximize my guilt. Given past experience, I suspected the latter. I decided to respond with a single text to the family group chat. I am safe at home. I am sorry for any financial inconvenience. But I was not willing to be the unpaid babysitter for this trip, which was clearly the plan. Enjoy your vacation. The response was immediate and explosive. Amanda sent a series of increasingly angry messages, culminating in, "How dare you accuse me of trying to use you? I never said you would be babysitting. This is just an excuse for your selfish behavior." My mother's response was more measured but equally dismissive. "No one expected you to babysit, Campbell. Family helps each other. That is what we do. You have deeply hurt everyone with your actions and your accusations. I started typing a detailed response, listing all the evidence of their intentions, from the plane seating to Amanda's phone conversation about spa days while I watched the kids. But halfway through, I realized the futility. They would deny, minimize, or explain away each point. This was a pattern I had seen my entire life. Instead, I simply wrote, "I think we all need some space. Enjoy Florida. We can talk when you get back." Then I did something I had never done before. I muted the family chat and blocked Amanda's number. I needed peace to process what had happened and to prepare for the confrontation that would inevitably come when they returned. The demands for financial compensation started the next day. Coming through my email since I had blocked their texts, your portion of the trip came to $2,450. Since you chose not to join us, we expect full reimbursement. This, from my father, who had originally presented the trip as a gift. Amanda went further. In addition to your share of the costs, I expect compensation for the emotional damage to my children. Their therapy will not be cheap. I left these emails unanswered. The therapist comment was particularly rich, coming from Amanda, who had once told me that therapy was just paying someone to listen to you complain. Besides, if the beach photos were any indication, the twins were doing just fine without their uncle. By the third day, I noticed something interesting. Despite claims that I had ruined the vacation, social media showed my family having a wonderful time. My parents posted photos from a sunset cruise. Amanda checked in at the resort spa with the caption, "Much needed me time." There were photos of the twins at the kids' club, supervised by resort staff. Not Amanda. Most telling was a picture my mother posted of Amanda lounging by the pool, captioned "Daughter getting some well-deserved relaxation while the twins enjoy the resort kids program." So they had hired the resort babysitters after all, something Amanda had previously declared too expensive when I suggested it during planning calls. The evidence was clear. My absence had not ruined anything except Amanda's plan to have free personal childcare. The vacation was proceeding exactly as they had wanted, minus one convenient uncle. I decided to stop checking their social media for my own peace of mind. Instead, I focused on enjoying my unexpected week off, something I had not had in over a year. I caught up on sleep, connected with friends I had been too busy to see, and even started a personal coding project I had been putting off. For the first time in years, I felt unburdened by family obligation. The guilt was still there, but it was increasingly overshadowed by a sense of righteous indignation and, surprisingly, freedom. The day after my airport escape, I called my best friend Michael for lunch. We had known each other since college, and he had witnessed the Campbell and Amanda dynamic firsthand over the years. I needed perspective from someone who knew my family but was not enmeshed in their web. We met at our favorite burger place, and I laid out the whole story. From the vacation planning, to the airport incident, to the barrage of angry messages, Michael listened attentively, occasionally nodding or raising an eyebrow. When I finished, he sat back and took a long sip of his soda. "So you finally did it," he said, a hint of pride in his voice. "You finally stood up to Hurricane Amanda." "I guess I did," I replied, still uncertain about the fallout. "But the way they are reacting, you would think I abandoned a child in a burning building, not refused to be an unpaid nanny." Michael leaned forward. "Campbell, I have watched this pattern for years. Remember Thanksgiving 3 years ago? You spent the entire day watching the twins while Amanda went Black Friday shopping with your mom. Christmas 2 years ago? You assembled bikes until 2 in the morning while Amanda was at that party. Your birthday last year? The twins somehow came along to your celebration dinner, and you ended up cutting their food while Amanda was on her phone." As he spoke, memories flooded back, each one reinforcing the pattern I had finally broken. The time Amanda asked me to watch the twins for just an hour while she ran errands, only to return 5 hours later with a fresh manicure. The weekend I gave up to help her move, only to discover she had not packed a single box when I arrived. The countless family gatherings where I became the default childcare provider, while Amanda socialized. "You have been their doormat for years," Michael continued, not unkindly. They are freaking out now. Because the doormat suddenly stood up and walked away. His validation was exactly what I needed. For so long, I had questioned my own perceptions, wondering if I was indeed being selfish for wanting boundaries. Hearing Michael confirm what I had experienced helped solidify my resolve. The next day, I had a virtual session with my therapist, Dr. Roberts, no relation, whom I had been seeing occasionally for work stress. I had not discussed my family dynamics much in our previous sessions, but now I opened up completely. What you are describing is a classic family system where one member is designated as the giver and expected to sacrifice their needs for others, she explained. The angry reaction you are receiving is a normal response when someone disrupts an established system. They are not angry because what you did was wrong. They are angry because you stopped playing the role they assigned to you. We spent the hour discussing healthy boundaries and why they were so difficult to establish in family systems. Dr. Roberts helped me understand that my feelings were valid and my actions, while perhaps abrupt, were a necessary disruption to an unhealthy pattern. The way you left was not ideal, she acknowledged, but sometimes a clean break is needed when incremental changes have failed. You tried to establish boundaries verbally multiple times, and they were ignored. Your actions communicated what your words could not. That evening, I started researching family dynamics and emotional manipulation. I found articles on parentification, a process where a child or family member is given responsibilities beyond their role, and triangulation, where one person manipulates communication between two others. The more I read, the more I recognize the patterns in my own family. I started journaling, documenting my feelings and experiences. Writing everything down helped me see the situation more clearly and reinforced my determination to establish healthier boundaries going forward. On day 4 of their vacation, my cousin Taylor, who was not on the trip, sent me a private message. Just for your information, they hired a resort babysitter for the twins, $25 an hour, which Amanda complained about. But they are at the dolphin excursion right now while she gets a massage. Thought you should know. I thanked Taylor for the information, which confirmed what I had suspected. The expense of childcare had never been the issue. It was the principle of Amanda not wanting to pay for something she could get for free from me. Later that day, I received a surprise email from my Aunt Patricia. Campbell, I heard about what happened with the vacation. While I do not know all the details, I want you to know that I have seen how Amanda takes advantage of your good nature for years. It takes courage to stand up for yourself, especially against family pressure. If you need someone to talk to who understands the family dynamics, I am here. Love, Aunt Patricia. Her message moved me to tears. I had always felt a connection with Aunt Patricia, who had once been the family scapegoat herself, before moving across the country and establishing firm boundaries. Her support meant more than she could know. As the week progressed, I developed a clear plan for addressing my family upon their return. I would not apologize for protecting my boundaries, but I would acknowledge that my method had been abrupt. I would offer to reimburse my parents for my portion of the trip, but with the explicit understanding that future family events would involve respect for my time and autonomy. I practiced what I would say, anticipating their likely responses. Amanda would deny and deflect. My mother would appeal to family obligation. My father would focus on the financial aspect. I prepared for all scenarios, determined to remain calm and consistent. By the end of the week, my anxiety had largely been replaced by a newfound confidence. The daily barrage of angry messages had slowed as my family actually enjoyed their vacation. My social media feeds showed them parasailing, dining at beachfront restaurants, and building sandcastles, all without me. The vacation had clearly not been ruined, as they had claimed. Most importantly, I had experienced a profound internal shift. For years, I had defined my worth in the family by how much I gave, how much I sacrificed. Now, I understood that true family relationships required mutual respect and reciprocity. I was worthy of boundaries. I deserved a vacation. That was actually a vacation. The night before their scheduled return, I received a text from my father. We will be coming to your apartment tomorrow at 2 p.m. to discuss what happened. Be there. Not a request, but a command. The old Campbell would have rearranged his schedule to accommodate them. The new Campbell texted back, "I have work until 5. I can meet after that." My father's response was terse, "Fine." 5:30. I went to bed that night feeling nervous but prepared. Tomorrow would be difficult, but necessary. As Aunt Patricia had written in her follow-up email, setting boundaries is an act of love, both for yourself and ultimately for your family. Even if they cannot see it that way yet, I finally believed that she was right. At precisely 5:30 the next evening, my doorbell rang. I had spent the day mentally preparing for this confrontation, rehearsing what I wanted to say, and steeling myself against the guilt tactics I knew would come. Still, opening the door to see my parents and Amanda standing there, their faces a mixture of exhaustion from travel and lingering anger, made my heart race. "Where are the twins?" I asked, noticing their absence. "With a sitter," Amanda replied curtly. I did not think they needed to be part of this conversation. I nodded and invited them in, gesturing toward my living room where I had arranged seating and put out water and snacks. They sat stiffly, declining refreshments. The tension in the room was palpable. My father spoke first. "Campbell, what you did was completely unacceptable. You embarrassed us, you cost us thousands of dollars, and you ruined what was supposed to be a special family vacation." I took a deep breath. "I understand you are upset, and I apologize for the abrupt way I left. But I do not apologize for refusing to be Amanda's unpaid childcare for the week, which was clearly the plan, despite my explicit boundary about not wanting to be the default babysitter. That is ridiculous," Amanda interjected. "No one expected you to be the babysitter, really?" I countered, remaining calm. "Then why was I seated with the twins on the plane, while you sat 20 rows away? Why did I overhear you telling your friend about getting massages while I watched the kids? Why did you tell the twins I would take them swimming every day without ever asking me?" "You are twisting everything," Amanda said, but I could see uncertainty flicker across her face. "The seating was just what was available. And of course, I thought you would want to spend time with the twins. They adore you. Spending time with them is not the issue," I explained. "Being expected to be their primary caregiver while you enjoyed a child-free vacation is the issue. And it is part of a pattern that has been going on for years." My mother jumped in. "Family helps each other. Campbell, that is what we do. When you have children someday, Amanda will help you too." I had anticipated this argument. When have you ever seen Amanda volunteer to watch someone else's children? When has she ever prioritized my needs over her own? The question hung in the air. My father cleared his throat, but said nothing. Amanda looked away. "The issue isn't just this vacation," I continued. "It is a pattern of my time and needs being considered less important than Amanda's. Every family gathering, every holiday. Somehow I end up watching the twins while Amanda gets a break, and when I try to establish boundaries, I am made to feel selfish." "You are being dramatic," Amanda said, but her voice lacked conviction. "Am I?" "Last Thanksgiving, who watched the twins all day? At Christmas, who assembled toys until 2 in the morning? On my birthday, who ended up cutting chicken nuggets instead of enjoying their own celebration dinner?" My specific examples made it difficult for them to deny the pattern. My mother shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "We never realized you felt this way," she said softly. "I have tried to tell you many times," I replied. But my concerns were always dismissed. Walking away from the airport was a last resort after years of not being heard. My father, ever practical, brought the conversation back to finances. "Regardless of your feelings, you committed to this trip. We paid over $2,000 for your portion." "I understand that," I said, "and I am prepared to reimburse you for my share. But I want to be clear that my time and autonomy also have value." I saw the social media posts. "Dad, the vacation was not ruined. You all had a great time without me." "That is not the point," he started, but I interrupted. "Actually, it is exactly the point. You all enjoyed the vacation because you hired resort babysitters to do what you expected me to do for free. Amanda got her massages and adult pool time. The twins enjoyed the kids' club. Everything proceeded as planned, just with paid childcare instead of exploiting my time." Amanda's face flushed. "How dare you accuse me of trying to exploit you?" I am a single mother doing the best I can, and I respect that. I said sincerely. Parenting is hard. But being a single mother does not entitle you to free childcare from me whenever it is convenient for you. I love Jacob and Sophia, but they are your responsibility, not mine. The conversation continued for nearly 3 hours. There were tears, primarily from Amanda. There were accusations and attempts to rewrite history. My mother tried repeatedly to mediate, sometimes defending me, sometimes pleading for understanding of Amanda's situation. My father mostly focused on the practical aspects, like the financial loss and future family event planning. Throughout it all, I maintained my position. I valued my family deeply, but I required mutual respect and clear boundaries going forward. I presented my non-negotiable terms for future family interactions. 1. I would spend time with the twins when it was mutually agreed upon in advance, not by default or manipulation. 2. I would participate in family gatherings as an equal adult, not as the designated childcare provider. 3. If Amanda needed babysitting, she would ask directly and accept my answer, whether yes or no. 4. My parents would stop enabling the dynamic by planning events that assumed my availability to watch the children. These boundaries are not punishments, I explained. They are necessary for me to have healthy relationships with all of you. I want to be part of this family, but not at the expense of my own well-being. By the time they left, we had reached an uneasy truce. Amanda was still defensive but had run out of counter-arguments. My parents seemed genuinely surprised by my perspective and promised to reflect on their role in the dynamic. I had agreed to repay my portion of the vacation expenses in monthly installments, which my father accepted. The weeks that followed were challenging. Amanda limited my contact with the twins initially, a transparent attempt to punish me that only reinforced my point about how she used them as pawns. My parents called frequently, oscillating between genuine attempts to understand my perspective and subtle pressure to fix things with your sister. I maintained my boundaries calmly, but firmly. I declined 2 family dinners, where it was clear Amanda expected me to entertain the twins. I accepted an invitation to my father's birthday celebration after confirming the expectations ahead of time. I sent the twins' birthday gifts directly rather than attending Amanda's over-the-top party where I knew I would be put to work. Slowly, the dynamic began to shift. After about 2 months, my mother invited me for coffee, just the 2 of us. For the first time, she really listened as I explained how the family patterns had affected me over the years. She shared her own struggle with Amanda's demands and admitted she had found it easier to pressure me than to confront her daughter's entitlement. I never meant to make you feel less valued, she said tearfully. I think we just got used to you being the responsible one, the one we could count on. It was wrong to take advantage of that. Her acknowledgement was a turning point. With my mother's growing awareness came a shift in how family events were planned and expectations were communicated. She became an unexpected ally in maintaining healthier boundaries. Amanda took longer to adjust. Her initial reaction was to escalate her demands and manipulations, but when these tactics failed to work, she had no choice but to adapt. Our relationship remained strained, but over time, small changes emerged. She began asking directly when she needed help with the twins, accepting my occasional no with minimal drama. She stopped volunteering my services without consulting me first. 3 months after the airport incident, we had our first positive family dinner. Amanda arrived with the twins and their tablets, prepared to entertain them herself. My parents maintained appropriate grandparent roles rather than offloading the children to me. I was able to have actual adult conversations throughout the meal. It was not perfect, but it was progress. Most meaningful was my evolving relationship with Jacob and Sophia. Without the resentment of forced childcare clouding our interactions, I found genuine joy in being their uncle on my own terms. We developed special traditions, like monthly Saturday morning pancakes at my apartment, where I could focus entirely on building our relationship rather than giving their mother a break. 6 months after the fateful vacation, Amanda and I had coffee alone. It was awkward at first, but surprisingly productive. I have been thinking a lot about what you said, she admitted reluctantly, about using you for childcare. I did not see it that way at the time. But looking back, I can understand why you felt taken advantage of. It was not quite an apology, but from Amanda, it was significant. "Thank you for acknowledging that," I replied. "I never minded helping with the twins. I just needed it to be my choice, not my obligation." She nodded slowly. "The new boundaries have been, honestly, really hard for me. But they have forced me to be more organized, to plan better." She paused. "And the twins seem to enjoy their time with you more now that it is special, not constant." That conversation did not magically fix everything, but it was a step toward a healthier relationship. Our family dynamic continued to evolve, with occasional backsliding into old patterns, followed by course corrections. The important difference was that now, we could name the dynamic when it appeared, rather than pretending it did not exist. The greatest lesson from my airport escape was that sometimes the most loving thing you can do, for yourself, and ultimately for your family, is to break an unhealthy pattern. By walking away from that vacation, I had not ruined anything important. Instead, I had created an opportunity for growth and authenticity that would have been impossible if I had continued in my assigned role. A year later, when my parents suggested another family vacation, the planning process was entirely different. Expectations were discussed openly. Childcare responsibilities were clearly delineated. Amanda arranged for a resort sitter for the time she wanted adult activities. I had my own room and the freedom to join or opt out of activities as I chose. It was not a perfect vacation, but it was a genuine one, with real connections rather than resentment and exploitation. As I watched the sunset from the beach, Jacob and Sophia building a sandcastle nearby because I had chosen to spend time with them that evening, I felt a profound sense of peace. Sometimes you have to walk away to find your way back to what matters. Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with family members who took your kindness for granted? Let me know in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more real-life experiences. Share this with someone who might need encouragement to stand up for themselves, even when it is difficult. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember, setting boundaries is not selfish. It is an essential act of self-respect that ultimately creates healthier relationships for everyone involved.